Hey, Nate, in this past episode, that scene where Bucky and Sam break John Walker's arm to get the shield off of him, did that remind you of anything that's ever happened to us in real life?
Yeah, it kind of reminded me we were at Little Caesars and we had to fucking break Banner's arm to get that ninth hot and right out of his hand.
Speaking of which, that reminds me, not gonna be able to be on the finale next week, guys, because I have surgery for my arm. No regrets though. It was delicious.
Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. This is our review of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 5, titled The Truth. I am your host, the Mayor Jeff Hornacek, joined by the American hero Nate Thurmond and the mad scientist Brian Banner to review this episode as we do all of our TV episodes on the Bro 4 Squad criteria, and that is the acting, our favorite scene, the story, and any theories or questions going forward, although I flipped scene and story, but fuck it, you guys will figure it out. So as we get started, let's begin with the acting and the cast. Any of the performances, good, bad, or indifferent? Nate, who stood out to you?
Yeah, thank you for throwing it to me first so I can go ahead and take this one off the plate. We got the award-winning actress that I think we had talked about in a previous episode in this finally with Julie Louise Dreyfus, and the small amount she was in this episode was fantastic. I think we'll get to this a little later on in best scene, but it was a nice breath of fresh air, and I don't think like her stardom really covered anything up in this. It can from time to time whenever you see those kind of cameos, but she played off very well. You could tell she had a very menacing background behind her, but played it off very playfully, especially with Walker's wife and some of the little quick lines she had to her. But that was kind of low-hanging fruit, so I'll just go ahead and take that one. But yeah, she was really great and did really well in this.
She did so well at just commanding the room when she walked in. And that's what I think whenever you have those big stars that do cameos like this, when they come in, they're like, yeah, I'm a big bad, and they wanted me to do this cameo. And she came in like, I get to do this cameo. They don't want me to. I get to. And just completely commanded every person in the room, like forced them to respect her with her eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got to say, this actually lived up to the hype for me. You know what? We're kind of jaded from the Paul Bettany thing with WandaVision, but she meets and almost exceeds a little bit my expectations of who we were going to get in this episode. And seeing her in this role where she can play someone so sinister yet still kind of quippy and just really enjoyable as she's being menacing is something I'm really looking forward to, because I'm assuming there's a lot of groundwork being laid here. And is there anything more baller than walking in a room and handing someone a blank business card?
Yeah.
I'll contact you. Then why'd you give me this? So that you fucking understand that I'm important.
Yeah, so you can see the set of balls I have on me.
Exactly. Banner, I know you and I talked about this a little bit off pod. Dude, is this Wyatt Russell's coming out party this episode? I mean, I was enjoying him as John Walker. He took it to a whole another level in episode 5, I thought.
Yeah, I've been on his tail here for a while.
His dick.
Well, yes, I wasn't going to be that vulgar, but yeah, I've been sucking his cock so hard this entire...
We didn't say that. No one said that.
Okay,
you said that. No one else said that. But yeah, continue.
Okay. No, I've been on this train for a while now. I think he is doing a fantastic job, and yes, he stole the scenes he was in. I mean, I don't know what else to say about him. He has a huge future, I think. I didn't know that he could do this.
Yeah, I really only remember him from that Black Mirror episode, 22 Jump Street, and Overlord, and in none of those is he given near the meat on the bone as he was in this episode. And it's an interesting arc that he has, because the entire time, at least me as a fan, I felt like I know I'm not supposed to like him, but I do kind of feel bad for him. Like he's put in a lose-lose situation and he's handling it so poorly. He's acting like a dumbass, but it's like I kind of feel like I would be piling on to call him a piece of shit, right? Like he's not enjoying any of this, clearly, right?
Yeah, and there hasn't been a ton said about this up front, like in the dialogue or anything, but like he always has some PTSD that he's dealing with, and he's seen some shit in battle. They've touched on it a few times, but that's kind of like the underlining thing right behind him that you can see is like building all this stuff up. He's dealing with some demons that he's seen in the army.
Yeah. Last one I want to mention briefly, Carl Lumbley, who plays Isaiah. His performance in episode 2, I thought was like a little bit like too burdened with this, and this one he toned it back just a little bit, but I think it was even more powerful in conveying the pain that Isaiah has. So I really enjoyed him in this episode. He is sort of driving, I think, the importance of this show in terms of like representation in a lot of ways. And for the people out there that say, oh, the show's too woke or they're pandering, like all this stuff is actually true to comics that were written about 50 years ago. So it's not like Marvel is trying to force in a bunch of things to, appease like a more modern political agenda. Like this is shit that was written in the 60s and 70s. All right, on to the story and the plot. So IMDb's plot synopsis says Sam Wilson, Bucky Barnes, Baron Zemo, John Walker, and Carly Morgenthau must all deal with the fallout from their actions. Now, Banner, IMDb pretty much just mentions every character that shows up. But I feel like this one was, the way that the episode 4 ended, we were really interested to see what happened here. Any surprises in terms of where the narrative went or where you think it's headed in the finale?
I have no idea where they're going with the finale, honestly. I don't even have theories, which we'll get to it later. I have no idea where they're going with that. The idea of Sam and Bucky just kind of having to go back and live their normal lives and contemplating what to do with the shield and kind of having that, like, that was their bonding moment. That was their growing up moment together that Bucky and Steve had all those years in New York. So to kind of see that come out on screen and to see how they're, hey, I've got your back no matter what. That was the first time that you really feel like, yes, I really have your back. Was in this episode when he goes down to Louisiana.
The interesting thing about their buddy cop dynamic, it for me has driven the show. I think we all kind of thought it would. But I have heard a lot of stuff online and in some other reviews that there was an entire, I don't even want to say subplot because I think it's more predominant, but the Flag Smashers were essentially going to be releasing a bioweapon, like a disease, on the world. And then when the pandemic hit, Marvel has tried to edit that part out of the show. That was what Mama Danya was going to have died from, their use of this biochemical weapon. And as a result, I think I have found myself, as every episode has gone on, much less interested in the Flag Smashers and more interested in everyone else, whether it's Sam, Bucky, more of Zemo, how jaded and upset Sharon Carter is at how really the world treated her after what she did in Civil War. And then the John Walker arc, which him lying to Lamar's parents about how he died might be the most evil thing he's ever done. And I watched him basically crush a dude's heart with the shield the last episode.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Nate,
yes, it's not something I really had thought about much until you mentioned it, but I am becoming a little disinterested in the Flag Smashers narrative, unfortunately. Hopefully that'll come around. I'm sure everything will kind of piece together in the end. But episodes 1 through 4, I was really interested in like, okay, where are they going with this? And all the serum and kind of what was developing there. But unfortunately, we are becoming a little disinterested in that. But overall, this episode had a lot of different dynamics, and it brought a lot of different emotions together. Starting off with the big fight scene between Bucky, Walker, and Sam, and then the courtroom scene, which was very emotional with Walker. But then, you get these weird, funny montages, and then literally had buddy cop written in my notes here. Like Horn said, you get that buddy cop feel back, which was great. You get to see them be a little more playful between Bucky and Sam again. So overall, I thought the episode on plot and development was really great because you got a ton of different dynamics, and you got that friendship back with them, and you can see that they're coming to terms with each other. They've got the shield back, I think, which helped. kind of heal some wounds. So really excited to see them get back into a more friendly nature.
Yeah, good point about the shield. I think that is sort of the balm that, obviously like Steve's not being a part of. We'll talk about where he is in just a sec, but him not being a part of the show is really where it's sort of the jumping off point is for Bucky and Sam, and getting the shield back. In a lot of ways, I think it's representative of them having Steve back lives, which was cool. And like you said, this thing can go from gritty drama to slapstick buddy cop in the snap of a finger, and it doesn't feel weird in an odd way.
Yeah, no, it was well done.
All right, on to our favorite scene. Nate, what do you got?
Probably my favorite scene, maybe overshadowed by some of the other ones, but it was one I just mentioned a second ago. Walker in the courtroom. He's getting basically
so powerful.
Almost court-martialed. He's getting discharged. They have a lot of verbiage, not necessarily dishonorably discharged, but that is where he really turns the corner and like lets out all that pent-up anger and emotion, and really goes to town on that senator that's reading him his rights, basically. But I mean, you saw it building up. It was coming out physically, and now it's coming out verbally. And he really expresses how he's feeling. And then it was just a kind of a bratty teenager. It didn't come off this way, but just bratty teenager. I'm not listening to you talk to the hand. I'm going to walk out now. And it just goes out to the hallway. But yeah, it kind of all came to fruition, and all of it poured out, and did a fucking hell of a job on it.
I think it shows how dangerous he really is, because him being in that setting, able to compose his thoughts more, it's much more premeditated. He doesn't really have the excuse of like, I just lost control, man. That's why I killed that dude. Because now they're like, well, you've known about this court case for days, and these are the statements you've prepared. And then the Julia Louis-Dreyfus moment, I mean, so exploitative. Like coming to this guy where he's his most vulnerable, most angry, and just looking for a hand to eat out of. And there she is with her blank-ass business card, basically telling him, hey, if you want to fuck shit up, we can arrange that. I understand you're upset at the world right now, and you're a little drunk with that rage, and I would love to just have you make some bad decisions. Exactly.
Yeah.
Banner, what was your favorite?
That scene right there, when Julia Louis-Dreyfus comes in, the way that she just walks in like a fucking baller, like you said, John Walker's on the brink of just an emotional, physical meltdown. I mean, I don't know if he's going to start crying or shooting the place up, because he's just so unstable. And her just coming in going, hey, look, I think you're fine. Do you want to hang out? Let's do that. Here's not my number, but I'll call you. And again, she just completely commands the screen. She demands respect of everybody else in the room that she's in. And just a great overall scene. And Nate, like you mentioned earlier, just her quick little one-liners to John Walker's wife, kind of, you felt the intensity. Like it almost added intensity, even though it's kind of comic relief. It added intensity to the scene.
Yeah, they're like these little backhanded compliments, like, "Oh, your beautiful wife here." Of course, that was tied for second best decision. But yeah, this is like
Great
a role.
line.
She may have had some other roles that I don't know about, but I mean, just the ones that come to mind. Obviously, Seinfeld, Veep, on Arrested Development. Like these are roles that completely contrast what she did here, and she killed it. It was awesome.
It's got to be fun for her to get to play this.
Oh, for sure.
Person. My favorite scene, Nate already mentioned it, so I won't talk about it too much. But the Falcon and Bucky fixing up the boat, sort of. It wasn't really a montage, but it was like, the music was playing. It was sort of a moment of levity, and them being back together. There you have the type of relationship where it's like, no matter what the fuck happens, no matter what argument they have, like they're gonna, like Banner was saying, they're gonna have each other's back at the end of the day. And this was that moment where he's like, don't flirt with my sister, but also like, if you want to take her out, that's cool. So it was sort of like what he's saying.
Yeah.
What I loved about that scene is they basically showed Bucky doing chores, and just watching him like washing the dishes with his robotic metal arm, just like the idea of him mowing the lawn with that arm just really makes me laugh. Him just like being a homeowner.
I did like the part where he goes, I don't use the arm much, I'm right-handed.
That I was about to mention. That was like, I don't know if there was like a inside joke with like the cast or something on that, but that was just so offhanded, but it like really made me laugh out loud when I thought, I don't think about my other arm. I'm right-handed.
Seems
like your bionic arm over there.
Yeah, made of vibranium from like the most advanced civilization on Earth. Well, I'm right-handed, Sam. Don't be a dumbass.
God.
Yeah, that was a great line.
All right, last part are theories and questions. There wasn't much coming from this, so the stuff I have is low-hanging fruit and happens in the comics. So I'll start off with a theory that, again, I'm not sitting here acting like I figured this shit out, because it's pretty obvious. I just think it needs to be pointed out. Torres, in the comics, does become a version of the Falcon. Sam says, you can keep my wings, the ones that Walker breaks. I think we can all see where that's headed, right? Potentially at some point. Torres is the next Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we'll see it in the show, or do you think that they're just going to leave that there to simmer for a while?
That's a good question. Considering we only have one episode left, I probably say no. But
yeah, I feel like that's something that we're going to look back in 4 or 5 years and go, oh shit, they set up this movie in that show.
Yeah. One other thing I want to point out, this is just me obsessively doing some internet research afterwards. Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays Madame Hydra, or Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Again, not the most reliable source in the world, but according to Wikipedia, this is the second time she has played this character. The other time was in 2020's Black Widow, which, as we know, has been now pushed to July. So, could this perhaps have actually been Marvel's intention of the second time we see Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Madame Hydra?
Ooh, sounds like Marvel has some big plans for her.
Which makes me excited.
Yeah. You don't bring in Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And first off, you probably don't even pitch her the role unless you have like a multiple movie/show arc.
Yeah.
Where, like, obviously she's not just going to show up for this 1 2-minute scene, you know?
That's some good stuff there.
So I just thought that was cool. So look for, in July, Madame Hydra, Allegra de Fontaine appearing again in the Black Widow movie. Could be post-credit, could be like a brief role, but I think she'll be in it. Nate, what do you got?
So this will probably contradict a little bit of what you said, but we're here to make weird guesses and crazy theories. So in the box, that was kind of the last thing besides the ending credit scene. Sam opening up the box to see what the Wakandans made for him. It could be something geared towards him going into the role of the new Captain America, but I think it's some vibranium wings, mainly because I just want to see him put those on and fucking fight with them, because it'd be badass.
That would be cool.
Because you've already seen him do some cool shit in this series with his wings and everything, and his jetpack. If he got some vibranium, I mean, he's going to be basically up on there with the level of super soldiers at that point.
What if he gets like the mesh, like the chainmail vibranium suit that Black Panther has with them?
Ooh. Uh-oh.
He'd be unstoppable.
Yeah,
he's Black Panther but can fly?
Because he's gotten really good with the jetpack and the wings. Like, I mean, in Endgame, remember I think it's Corvus Glaive or one of the members of the Black Order, he fucking stabs with both of his wings.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought of something. So, and we talked about this off pod. Nate, you obviously think that it's vibranium wings. Me and Jeff were under the impression that it was like a new cap suit.
Yeah.
What if it's a replacement for Red Wing?
Ooh.
I'm glad you thought that, and I'm not trying to be like, oh no, I thought of that first. That actually did pass through my mind when I first saw it open up. I totally forgot about that. That would be so cool if it was Red Wing, since he got broken in this series. Yeah.
Well, and maybe like a red, white, and blue Red Wing, so like he still has him, or he could be Cap, but he's got his little buddy with him.
And two things with that. Number one, when I'm thinking of like the Wakanda like jet technology that they use in all the movies, kind of is reminiscent of the way Red Wing flies and levitates. And if you're Bucky, you're asking for a favor, almost like a Secret Santa gift for Falcon. What better than replacing his Red Wing who got snapped?
That's an expensive Dirty Santa limit. Like usually it's like $20 or for $30.
The great thing about gifts is you can tell someone, I care about you this many dollars worth.
This many dollars worth.
This many dollars.
Yes,
ooh, is that an iPod? What's
Michael
that?
Scott. The one other thing I had, I don't even know if it's a theory. It's just something I'm thinking about and trying to piece together, and just wanted an open discussion here. So Sharon obviously is on the phone with Batroc, and then he gets with Carly at the end, and she's kind of orchestrating behind the scenes ultimately looking to get Sam kind of killed. I think
That's
if
what I
she
don't.
got him in here.
Is she
So
that just Sam for the events of Civil War? I'm a little confused.
so it's kind of shaping up that she is the power broker. I thought she was just kind of a pawn, but I don't
Yeah.
know. She's kind of making these moves up top in her ivory tower that is kind of seeming like she is higher than I initially anticipated. But
Here's
that's one
the
of the
thing: if
things.
she wanted him dead, why didn't she already kill him?
Because
See,
that would be
I don't
showing
know.
her hand, I feel like.
I guess. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know her
that
motives, but
makes
I'm
sense.
very, very interested in her character. Like, I'm actually way more interested in her character than I am anything with Carly or the Flag Smashers, to be
But
honest.
yeah, now that they're
Yeah,
all kind of getting connected in with the
I
interactions in this episode.
I think Nate, you said it last episode. Uh, the kind of the motto of this entire show is it's just means to an end,
Yep.
right? I
Hmm.
feel like this Flag Smashers were just a means to get us to the end of this series. They don't actually really mean anything. Like they were
Could be.
literally just a vessel that gets Sam and Bucky together and kind of that uh low level villain to get us to the power broker, Madam Hydra, so on and so forth. We have to have that, entry level job position.
Yeah, that would kind of make sense and go along with the mantra, and they just needed someone to, yeah, kind of drive that narrative along. And I mean, they've done it. Now they're piecing it together. So that could
But
be
again,
100% true.
if what I heard about the bioweapon arc was true, like Marvel had to take that whole thing out, or not, didn't have to, but obviously it was kind of toned down.
Nah, pretty sure they had to.
Yeah. Then their role obviously changed a lot in the series, but like you said, Boehner, they're helpful in terms of the narrative, but like it's not that I'm bored when they're on the screen, but there are other character arcs that I'm much more interested in seeing play out. I had a
For sure.
question that I just have to ask you guys. I've asked this at the beginning of the show. It's sort of a two-parter. Number one, Bucky and Sam say multiple times in this, Steve's gone, Steve's gone. Is he dead? Number one. And two, will we find that answer out by the end of this show? Brian, what do you think first?
I think I don't think he's dead, but I don't think that we'll find a definitive answer either by the end of the show. I think they're just going to keep saying he's gone, but I don't think we'll actually know because this is supposed to be 6 months after Endgame, right?
Yeah.
6 months after the funeral scene at.
Is it?
Wait, no. It's like 5 years after that. It's 6 months after WandaVision.
Right, which
But
is
isn't
9
WandaVision
days.
relatively? Yeah, WandaVision's like right after Vision.
It's like 9 days after the events of Endgame. You're thinking of when the snap happened. 5 years went by from the snap to everybody came back. Now we're 6
We're
months.
talking about from when old Steve gave Falcon the shield. How long is it from that?
I would say that that's about 6 months, right?
That sounds right to me. Maybe less, actually. Because the government would have come for the shield almost the second they knew he had it, right?
You would think.
Yeah.
So I guess, Banner, here's my other question, and Nate, you can jump in on this too. Do Sam and Bucky actually know the fate of Steve? Or is he doing something? Nate, why don't you answer first? Is he doing something where, like, they're not actually aware of what's happened to him, so when they say he's gone, they're either sort of taking a shot in the dark, or they may mean something aside from being dead?
I think they know where he's at, and I can't even remember exactly what I said, but I think a couple episodes I'd mentioned maybe a reappearance of old Steve, which I don't think that's going to happen, but I could very possibly see a mentioning at the end of this series as kind of a tease, saying like, "Oh, we got to go meet somebody, see somebody," and that's kind of the cliffhanger. Is that they are going to go find or meet Steve? I think they know roughly where he's at or what he's doing at this point.
Dude, I'm going to get crazy and say he's showing up. Might be non-speaking part.
I'd love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about that at all.
Yeah.
I have one more theory, but before I get to that, any of you guys have anything else?
No,
No.
my biggest question mark is Sharon Carter now. I think she is a huge linchpin that we don't know about yet
Yes.
in this whole series.
I totally agree. And even if she's not the power broker, there's obviously more than meets the eye to her character. My last theory involves Baron Zemo. So him being taken to the raft by the Wakandans, which I'm a little surprised by. I thought they were kind of had a bloodlust for him, similar to what happened with fuck, Banner, help me out. Age of Andy
Claw.
Serkis' character. Yeah, Ulysses Claw. I thought they wanted his head in their trophy room, but they're taking him to the raft. And I know that I keep throwing this guy in my theories, and none of them have come to fruition yet, but I think General Ross is still at the raft, and he is going to be putting together his version of the Thunderbolts, which in the comics does include Zemo and himself as the Red Hulk. And I think this also ties into Black Widow, knowing that William Hurt plays Ross in Black Widow. I think, like I said before, all these years of playing by the book to try and get his super soldier team hasn't worked out. So maybe now Ross has turned to the help of Madam Hydra, and he's assembling the Thunderbolts, which is essentially like a more anti-hero version of the Masters of Evil. It's like an anti-Avengers, but they're not explicitly evil. They just kind of don't fucking play by the rules, if that makes sense. That's my prediction.
I like that
thinking.
prediction.
There it is.
I think... Well, no, I just have a question. Do you think he was originally going to go to Wakanda, but they switched it up to go to the raft after Chadwick Boseman's untimely passing?
Wow.
Ooh, that's an interesting thing to think about.
I know, man.
And I hate to bring it up, and I hate to be that guy, but I haven't heard anything really on what they're planning on doing with that situation. Rightfully so. I mean, we're not ready for it yet. But
dude, if Chadwick were still with us, I bet he would have been in this show. Like, they probably would have had Black Panther hunting down the guy who actually killed his dad. You know,
right? They wouldn't have sent the Dora Milaje. Yeah, he would have come. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's tough, man. And I'm sure Marvel, just because of the sensitivity of it and what he meant, you know, culturally and obviously to the MCU as a much more less important metric. I mean, they're trying to kind of delay having to make those decisions as much as they can.
Yeah.
But it sucks because Wakanda's so awesome. His character's so awesome. But yeah, there's that real life element that's like, it's not going to go anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
All right, before we let the people go, any last thoughts? We got one episode left on this show. And then I hate to look ahead, but I'm actually really fucking excited for Loki in a few weeks too.
Oh yeah.
Nate, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm loving the thing they're doing with these and kind of playing into other series and really tying things in, like the end of WandaVision. Obviously, we're getting the Doctor Strange feels and all that kind of stuff, so we know kind of where that's going with her researching the book now. So excited to see where the end of this one goes and what potential tie-ins are down the road, so my mind can start going crazy after the finale next week.
Yeah, I feel like this show doesn't have as much to tie up in the finale as I felt like WandaVision did in terms of story arcs. So if they want to like swing for the fences with a few like teases for future projects, they have more runway to do that, if that makes sense. Like WandaVision had, I feel like, so many threads that we were like, well, how's this going to end? Who's this person?
Yeah.
This is really like, okay, what's happening with the GRC meeting and the Flag Smashers? And then like whatever the fuck you guys want to do going forward, you have time to do it.
Yeah. Everything's pretty tied together.
WandaVision, they threw too many storylines out there, and eventually they just had to cut some. Whereas this, I almost feel like they didn't throw enough out there. And so they're like, hey, last episode, let's get crazy. Can we see some mutants?
Up some threes, right? We're up 20.
Fuck it.
Gilbert Arenas heat checks. Banner, what do you think for the finale? I know you kind of touched on how they put themselves in a good spot. Is there anything you'd be disappointed if we didn't see?
No, honestly, I think this is all setting up to be just fine. And we're gonna have a really cool, I think, kind of 3-teamed battle here with Sam and Bucky and the good guys, the Flag Smashers, and then obviously John Walker.
Yeah.
All kind of fighting each other.
We talk ceilings and floors, like potential to be good versus potential to be bad with things all the time. The WandaVision finale, very high ceiling, could have been great, but also very low floor if they didn't come through. I feel like the Falcon and Winter Soldier season 1 finale, very high floor. Like, yes. I don't see many ways I'm disappointed with how this ends.
I don't see how they can fuck this up.
Almost, I don't want to say this because it has kind of a bad connotation with it sometimes, but they've almost played it safe with this a little bit. Yeah. But I'm enjoying it because I know the finale is not going to disappoint me.
And they had to play it safe after not knowing the reception of WandaVision, with them coming out back to back like they have.
For sure.
Yeah, agreed. All right, for the American hero Nate Thurmond and the mad scientist Brian Banner, I'm the mayor Jeff Hornacek, and we are the Bro Force Squad podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. One more episode of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we hope you'll check out our review for that one. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, and Spotify if you type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words. Find us on Letterboxd if you type in those same 3 words. We're on Twitter at Bro Force Squad, and everything we post is on our website at broforcesquad.com. Till next time, I got Banner and Secret Santa, and he needs to open this metal briefcase to see what I got. Hope you like it.
It's just going to be full of blank business cards.
And dildos, but mainly the business cards.
Yeah.
Blank dildos?
I don't know what that means, but sure.
Well, there's writing on them.